Education School Board meeting. The first item on the agenda is attendance. I will begin with that. Mr. Kelleher,
Here.
Ms. Leong,
Here.
Ms. Lindstrom,
Here.
Ms. Peterson,
Here.
Ms. Tarpinian,
Here.
and Ms. Trapani Huff.
She's absent. She's been excused.
Okay. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 6th business meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I did notice that in the attendance listing, there should be a name that should be removed.
Mhm.
So if we could please remove former board member Gammon's name as being present. I don't believe that that was accurate.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second on that? Any other discussion? All in favor? Great, thank you. The next item that I'm really looking forward to is, are there any adjustments to the agenda this evening?
There are adjustments to the agenda. If we can add a new 6.0, it would be election of board officers. 6.1 specifically would be the school board chair. 6.2 would be the school board vice chair.
Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Excellent, motion passes. Moving to 6.0, election of school board officers. The first election that we will take up is 6.1, the election of a new school board chair. That is happening this evening because we had an election very recently, and anytime after a school board election, we do move forward with the election of a new chair and a new vice chair. As it pertains to matter 6.1, is there a nomination for school board chair?
I would like to nominate Shannon Lindstrom for chair.
Is there a second?
Second,
Second.
third, fourth.
Are there other nominations for school board chair? Any discussion about nominating Shannon Lindstrom as school board chair?
I think Shannon has done a great job previously, and I think she should continue again.
You know,
Any other discussion? All in favor? Great, congratulations,
Thank you.
Shannon. You are now the school board chair.
Thank you very, very much. That's very kind. All right, the new agenda item 6.2 is the nomination of a vice chair. Do I have a nomination?
I would like to nominate Freyla, for opinion.
Accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I also think Freyla did a great job previously, and I think she should do it again.
Awesome. I agree. So all in favor? It is unanimous. Congratulations, Freyla. All right, agenda item 7.0 is the 2024 spring sports recognition. So for this, we will bring Mike up to the podium.
Hello, good evening. Just want to get right to it. Thank you for having us tonight, and we're able to have most all the coaches here and some student athletes as well, which is great on a warm summer day and summer evening. So we'll start right off with girls tennis and Coach McIsaac.
Thank you. I'm Lincoln McIsaac. I coach girls tennis. I'd like to speak just a little bit about our program. First and foremost, we keep 24 athletes on the team. We did have 36 athletes try out this season. Numbers keep on growing since COVID. We've seen the numbers grow. And Mike has been super supportive in the growth of that program, and we really appreciate that. This season was a little bit tough because, well, as you know, we didn't have any tennis courts here available to us. No fault to the school department, of course, or even the town, but that's just how it happens. But we made adjustments. Once again, the athletic department was super supportive in that. Found us indoor court times when he could. Got us down to Pine Point courts, made it a priority to be there. So it was really, so thank you, Mike, for that support, and Jordan and the whole athletic department. And you know, that we had a really good, solid season, all things considered. You know, we made it into the playoffs, went to the quarterfinals, lost to Falmouth again. They haven't lost, and well, the last time they lost was to us actually, which was like 3 years ago. So they're a pretty good program. But we're aiming to get there. We're looking to do good things. I think one of the great things about my program is that every time we graduate seniors from our group, it almost seems that they're all on the all academic SMA team. This year we had eight seniors, and all 8 of them were academic all-stars. We also had one that was an actual SMA all-star for her performance in the state singles tournament. So it's been a really good, healthy program, both for the playing of tennis, lifelong sport, but also just in terms of the academic life of the students is supported, and they know that, they understand that. And so, you know, very thankful once again to be the coach and to work with this program. Thank you.
And Coach McDonald with boys tennis.
Good evening, everybody. To start off, I would like to introduce 2 of my players. Both will be seniors this coming fall. To your left is Ethan Stockwell, and to his right is John Howe. I'd just like to echo Coach McIsaac's sentiments about how everybody, in terms of community services, the high school coach, and how we all work together in terms of, you know, waiting for the courts to be prepared. Even in the fall, we worked with community services and coach to make sure the Pine Point courts were ready. We had a court in the back where the basketball court was, so we had 3 courts available, and we were able to, you know, alternate practices, and it really made it a successful season. And we were also able to practice at Apex, which is an indoor facility in Portland. And so, you know, without that, like I said, my season couldn't have been as successful as it was. To start off, we had 23 students on our team, which was second in Class A South, next to Falmouth. You'll hear Falmouth a lot. Our regular season record was 9-3. We were 5th in heels. We reached the quarterfinals, which was pretty good for a team, you know, that had to replace 4 starters from last year. In tennis, what most people don't know, there is a singles tournament and a doubles tournament, and another doubles tournament after that. So there are all kinds of teams that can be crowned as a champion. So that, you know, there's the team championship, and then we have a singles tournament that crowns the best singles player in the state of Maine. And this is all classes. And we had one student that reached the round of 16, and that was Ethan Stockwell. We also in the doubles tournament, it's called the Joe Kilmartin State Championship Tournament. We had 2 teams reach the quarterfinals, and we had another team that was the Invitational Tournament, which is kind of like a almost teams that can't play because the tournament lasts the whole month of May. So if you're in the singles and doubles, it goes the whole month. So players who couldn't play every weekend because of other obligations, we had a team that made it all the way to the championship. So that team did great. Also academically, we had two members that were on the all academic team. I believe a few members are on robotics as they were last year. So, you know, student athletes here at Scarborough, you know, as Coach McIsaac said, every year, all our seniors are going to great institutions all throughout the country. To wrap it up, like I said, you know, we had a great season, and we look forward to next year when we're going to be using the new courts, the They look wonderful. The players are just raving about it. So just thank you for the school board and the town for, creating such an environment for, not just athletics, but academics as well. Thank you.
You're not sure what the tennis coach we're talking about, the town redid the tennis courts and they weren't prepared for our season, so we had to make alternate opportunities for our kids to have a season this year. But everybody, like coaches said, everybody worked together and it worked out well as best it could. Coach McCormick with Unified Bocce.
I'm Alvin McCormick. I'm the head coach of the Unified Bocce team. This is our rising junior. Chris Allegri is now a veteran bocce ball player, also playing volleyball and basketball with our Unified program. It was a great season for bocce. This is our 4th year. I think we were the first team in Maine with a bocce ball team, and now we're consistently one of the biggest teams in Maine. But it's great that of the 4 years, the last 2 years, we've played teams we've never played before. So bocce is just growing in Maine because I think people are realizing how awesome of a unified sport it is. We've had these PVC courts for the last 4 years that have been amazing, and we owe a ton to it. But after 4 years of bocce, they're made of like PVC gutter material. They've started to break apart. They've still been useful, but right next to the tennis courts that have been built, we for our second half of the season, we got a new bocce court that we owe a lot of thanks to athletic department, also Casey Cunningham and community services for building. And I think a second court will be built for next year's season. So we were able to try out this new sand professional bocce ball court for the first time, and we've had other schools come in and, oh my goodness, and it just created a great environment, and all the kids had fun. So I think it's good for unified sports in Maine in general to have those. So thank you to everyone involved with that. But it was a great season, and we can't wait for next year. Unfortunately, our staff game is rained out, but I know that next year we're definitely going to pick it on a sunny day and kick some butts on our staff game. So thank you so much.
And softball, Coach Rice.
Good evening. So softball this year, we had 29 kids in the program for 2 teams. It's pretty good numbers. The kids had to start off with their 3rd coach in 3 years, which was me. So so there was, some getting to know each other and kind of set us back a little bit at the start. But they adjusted quickly, as they do with everything else. Communication, as the other coaches have already said, was smooth and consistent from the office. Just anything we wanted or needed, they were there. They answered quickly. On the field, we did pretty good this year. We finished 11-5. Ended the regular season winning 5 straight. And it was pretty cool. It's kind of like in the classroom when you're teaching a hard subject and everybody gets it. It's like that aha moment. It was kind of the same thing on the field, and we started rolling. Won 2 playoff games to get to the regional semis. We had 4 players chosen as all SMAA on the softball side, as well as 4 on the academic side. Going through the season, the highest of highs with wins in the bottom of the 7th. And then what feels like the lowest of lows at times. And you learn that tough lesson that even though you do everything right and to the best of your ability, somebody else might just be better. But as a game based on failure, softball, like baseball, lots of chances to celebrate the little victories. And we did that a lot. Just a fantastic group of kids and parents, and with the administration, and couldn't have asked for a better first year. So I'm looking forward to spring already. Thank you.
and Coach Colangelo with girls lacrosse.
Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor Colangelo, the girls varsity head coach. Tonight I'm joined by one of my senior captains this past year who will leave us in the fall to go to the University of Arizona. We had a great season this year, going 6-9, which compared to last year, we doubled our wins and had a lot more fun while doing so. With a chance to advance to a playoff game, at Gorham with all kinds of fun stuff in between. We got to Gorham for our playoff game in probably some of the hardest rain I've ever seen. They have a grass field for those that don't know. And they sent us right back home on the bus. So we went home on the bus, and we always talked about how we really couldn't change the things that we can't pick. And so we talked about those things, headed home and played our playoff game the next day with just as much intensity and energy as I think they would have had that first day. Ultimately, fighting hard in a game, Gorham ended up advancing to the second round. But other than lacrosse, our girls grew as really big leaders this year. We in the lacrosse world have a youth program called Nechemis, where our girls are able to coach at any of their youth practices. And we also have the opportunity to run and coach every Saturday morning with our K to second graders. So we have 8 to 10 girls who show up every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. to coach our younger youth, which is always so fun to see each of them get to coach in the same program that they once played for. Along with that, I had 4 seniors this year, all who earned SMAA All Academic. And we are certainly grateful for our successful lacrosse season, but even happier about all the successes that our athletes this year had off the field. And thank you so much for having us tonight, and we're already looking forward to next spring.
Coach Barrett and Coach Bailey couldn't be here with boys lacrosse, but they sent me some information to read, so hopefully I'll do it justice. But boys lacrosse had a very successful season this year. After a rough 0-3 start, they finished with a 9-5 record, won 2 playoff games, and finally lost in the state semifinal game to the eventual team that went on to be the state champions. Throughout the season, they learned many lessons about resiliency, focusing on goals and becoming strong teammates. Every player in their program was able to demonstrate leadership as youth mentors. Like Coach Colangelo mentioned, the boys soccer team also helps with the youth program in terms of coaching teams and helping with practice and those sorts of things. They did have some individual players receive recognition as the best players in the conference, as well as one player, Ben Kerbel, getting a statewide and national recognition for his performance at his position at goaltender. Ben also received national recognition for his love of the game contributions to the local lacrosse community. This was a pretty prestigious award because it's only given to one boys lacrosse player in the state of Maine. Coaches wanted to thank the athletic department and the school board for their support of the program, which provides many opportunities for learning beyond just skills of our sport. So that was boys lacrosse. Boys outdoor track, Coach Vayu.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to come talk about the boys outdoor track team, and congratulations to all the spring sports teams, and obviously congratulations to the girls outdoor track team and the boys baseball team for bringing home the state championship. Our season went well. We had 47 athletes on the team this outdoor season. Regular season, we were 3-1, finished 6th in the Southwesterns and 7th in the state championship this year. a little short of what we were shooting for as a program. You know, we're, always come into the season as one of the favorites to win. Had, 3 of our top athletes just get injured and not able to compete, in the state championship. So, we still did very well. The kids were setting, personal best, throughout, each meet, and we had a good representation, at the state championship. We did win the 4x8 relay. That was Colby Shumway, Ethan Keller, Baxter Merriam, and Atticus Merriam, and Dylan Brown won the javelin. We had several all-conference team members as well. Miguel Torres set a school record in the javelin. And we had several New England qualifiers, and at the New England's, Dylan Brown earned all New England honors with a 5th place finish. So, and we sent a few athletes to the national meet as well. So outstanding performances there. We had a good team coming back. So we'll look forward to next year and continue to learn the lessons that you learn with athletics and continue to have success. Thank you.
And Coach Curry with girls outdoor track.
Hi, thanks for having us. Hi. So I have Maisie Gleason with me. She's a senior, so she's gonna leave us and go to Wheaton College and compete on their track team. So that's pretty exciting. She was shot put for us for 4 years, and she helped score in the state winning title. So that was exciting. Laurel Driscoll is a sophomore. She's gonna be a junior. She helped us at the state meet by being the 3,200 state champion, coming in second in the 1,600. She also went on to be all New England, 3rd place, which as what I talked to Coach Kelly, the only girl from Maine to make all New England in the from Scarborough, I'm sorry, in the 1,600. And then she went on to nationals and won her heat, and now is the second in Maine all time in the 1,600. So it's pretty exciting. So we got a good future with Laurel. So, we had 70 girls on the team. I just kept looking at this, like more girls are signing up, like 70. 62 of them earned their varsity letter, so it was pretty good for 70. Because some do it because their friends are doing it, some really want to do it. So, we had an undefeated season, and we had 35 compete at the SMAA championship, which we ended up winning pretty easily. The state title was a little harder. Bangor was supposed to beat us by we were supposed to win by 40 points, but we all know that that is not easy because Bangor, we almost beat them last year. So the girls still worked really hard. We had 22 compete. We had 6 state champion titles. Emerson Flaker got 3 of them. Laurel had 1. Kylie Record won the 800, and Isabella Harmon won the pole vault. So that helped us a lot to win the state title. So it was pretty exciting, especially we had 8 seniors. They were all academic. So they were pretty happy with that. Everybody still dug deep at the state meets because we only end up winning by like 15. So, which I guess is still a lot, but we were nervous because it was live results and we couldn't, and no one had reception at Thornton Academy. So, but overall, it was a great season. The athletic department was great to us. Yeah, so we're looking forward to, cross country. Laurel's going to do cross country. So, thank you.
And Coach Riddlin with baseball.
Good evening. Appreciate everyone having us today. Wes Ridlon, head varsity baseball coach. I'm joined by Louis Monahan, one of our seniors and a key contributor to our state championship baseball team. So a decent season, I'd say. We went 21-1 with 1 loss against Deering that I think we had a bad inning, and really to me a good opportunity for our boys to grow and learn about adversity and how do you respond to that. But that 21-1 record was the best record in the last 29 years for the baseball program. We also won the SMAA league title, which was the first time Scarborough baseball has been a part of that championship. Then obviously a state title to cap it off. But I think the best part for me is like they did it as a complete team. We had a few key contributors, but top 1 through 15 in our dugout all contributed at a different point in time. For us, it's a level of like the process versus the result. And we kept talking about that throughout the season around don't worry about the end result, worry about how you get there. And how do you respond to the level of adversity that happens throughout the year. And they did. And it's something that I think that they'll obviously, the state title will be what they'll always remember. But I think I appreciate the athletic department and their willingness to give us whatever we ask for. They're also great groundskeepers. So I've seen Mr. Legage and Mr. Ferreira with rakes in their hand trying to help us. So I appreciate that. And obviously the administration and the community that really came together to help support like a really awesome thing. So thank you again. And we'll try to win it again next year.
So I think I've got everybody. I don't think I missed anybody, but I want to thank everybody for coming. And I hope you heard tonight, beyond wins and losses, it's great to always win. And I hope I'm not sounding like a broken record to you, but I think what you heard is also a little bit about education-based athletics and the importance of children's participation in after-school activities as part of their education program, part of their learning. And of course, I'm biased. I think all of our coaches are coaches of the year, but we do have some coaches of the year sitting in front of you as well. Who was that? Niece. And Wes should have gotten it. That was politics. But I'm biased, like I said. So I think we have, because you heard the coaches talk about wonderful kids, but we have wonderful coaches too that lead those programs and help educate our kids. So thank you again for having us. I think it's always a great opportunity to share with the board the things that we're doing. And I think that's it for tonight. If you have questions or comments or anything.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Is there any comments, questions? For Mike? Go ahead. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming. I know this is a late ask at the end of June and y'all have other things going on in your life right now. And so I really appreciate you coming. I will say I probably also sound like a broken record. I really appreciate, of course, this is one of my most favorite nights that we have, and we get to have it in the winter and the fall and the winter and the spring. And I love when you come and you bring your kids and you talk to us about what good things you're doing, because it is beyond the wins and losses and how you perform. What really matters is the volunteerism and the little kids that you're mentoring on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. and the people that get to look up to you as you grow. And remember, when you were a little kid, at one point, you looked up to these people that were ahead of you. And now you have this really awesome opportunity to do the same. And so I really, really value that we hold volunteerism and we hold giving back to such a high standard. So thank you for doing that as well. I look forward to seeing all of you most of you, some of you will be gone to college, but most of you in the fall when we start talking about fall sports again. And thank you so much for coming. All right. Thank you. All right. Our new 8.0, our agenda item 8.0 is general public comment. Is there anybody wishing to give public comment for something not on the agenda? So if you're interested in making public comment, you can just come up to the microphone. As you're getting settled, I'll only say this once because I don't feel like you need to hear me repeat myself over and over. But if you do, please let me know. There is a box on the podium with a green, yellow, red light. You have 3 minutes to give public comment. If you could direct your comments to me as the chair. You start with giving your name And then I will start the timer, and the green means you're good to go. Yellow means your 3 minutes is close to being up, and red means we're at the time. All right.
Good evening. My name is Jenny Place, and I am a lifelong Scarborough resident. I currently reside at 7 Pumpkin Lane in the Pleasant Hill neighborhood. My request tonight is simple. We must revise the school's policy regarding cell phones and smart devices. It has been 7 years since the policy was last updated. In that time, technology has made significant strides to enable connection through cell phones. The school's failure to keep pace with the harmful tactics of social media has allowed it to infiltrate our classrooms, robbing our children of the education and futures that they deserve. Over the past few weeks, I've spoken to many parents, and I know that I am not alone in my plea to take action right now. We must make significant progress this summer and implement an updated policy that protects our students, hopefully before the start of the academic year. Other districts are leading by implementing school-wide bans on smart devices. Any delay in policy change in Scarborough will be more harmful for our community. I recently read the book, The Anxious Generation, which details the detrimental effects that smartphones have on society, especially the malleable minds of our youth. I urge everyone in attendance to pick up this book if you have not done so already, as it accurately depicts what is in store for our communities if no action is taken to keep smartphone use at bay. Today, our students are more depressed and experience greater social angst. During class, they're bullied online and shamed for things beyond their control. Smartphones have stolen the attention of our students and also our teachers as they contend with the digital world for their students' focus. The evidence is obvious that smartphones are the culprit of these atrocities, and implementing a phone-free school day is a necessary measure to restore our children's mental, physical, and academic well-being. I ask you to make this a top priority and please ban smartphones in schools. If we want to remain a top school district, then it is imperative that we act now. For the sake of our children and the future of our community, please take necessary steps towards a future without phones in our school. Thank you.
Hi, should we start? Okay. My name is Ellen Coughlin Quinn. First of all, thank you for all you do on behalf of our children, and also for receiving my email so kindly. I have my master's in public health, and so this topic and the collective action around it really excites me. And as a parent of 3, I care deeply about our students' education and well-being, which is why I'm concerned about the impact of electronic devices on their learning environment. I know updating the device policy is already a priority for the board, and I appreciate your commitment to enhancing our students' and teachers' learning environment. Obviously, the jury is already in on this topic. Since smartphones entered our schools around 2012, global trends show a decline in test scores and an increase in loneliness, anxiety, and depression. This phenomenon has been accompanied by a rising rate of classroom conflicts, teacher burnout, and cyberbullying. Smartphones have proven to significantly impact attention, learning, and inclusivity in educational settings. As an organization, Scarborough Alliance for Thoughtful Tech has engaged in conversations with teachers and students at Scarborough Middle School and High School. We have learned that the current approach to handling electronic devices places an additional burden on our dedicated teachers who are already focused on providing high-quality education. We believe a comprehensive solution is needed to alleviate this burden and ensure a more focused learning environment. Implementing a clear and enforceable policy will support our educators and promote better learning conditions for both students and teachers. Any policy that allows a student to use a cell phone during the school day, such as between classes or during lunch, undermines their focus, disrupts the learning environment, and has been proven ineffective. Regarding parents' possible concerns around safety in an emergency situation at the school, it's important to note that safety experts and law enforcement across the country have stated that cell phones do not make students safer in those situations. Phones can distract students from cell phones. Sorry, can't read my own notes. Phones can distract students from following safety protocols, and ringing phones can reveal students' locations when they're trying to hide. Additionally, phones can spread misinformation and cause panic. Schools have dedicated emergency systems that are far more effective. Therefore, phones can hinder safety efforts. Around this topic, I would ask, do we want to know our kids are safe, or do you want them to actually be safe? Bath, Maine, or RSU1, has paved the way for us by implementing a full-day device ban using Yonder pouches, and their documents and research are readily available online. The Scarborough Alliance for Thoughtful Tech is eager to collaborate and support any efforts in adopting similar measures. Thank you.
Green means go? Okay. Am I good?
If you could just share your name.
Sure, yeah. I'm Amos Goss. I live on Hidden Creek. And I've got a sophomore son and a 8th grade daughter. And, you know, I can only imagine how, if I was an institution or representative of an educational institution hearing about this subject, I would imagine it's really frustrating. We parents, we bought the phones, we sent them to school with the phones. And, you know, we're asking for help from educational institutions to help clean it up. And I think this is what is known as a collective action problem. I'm not an expert on this, but it's a collective action problem. And we can't fix the problem that we've created. Just like I can't fix overfishing in oceans by stopping to fish or by stopping eating fish. It requires collective action like recycling or air pollution or traffic congestion. So the question really becomes, what is the appropriate collective action response? And who are the institutions that can create any sort of meaningful impact? My wife and I, we tried really hard to resist the phone adoption, but your choices are adopting phone usage, which is so isolating and creates anxiety and increased suicidality, particularly with over indexing with girls in particular, or you literally isolate them by not giving them the phone. And the school is a place where we can have that collective action response. And, you know, there are sort of 4 action steps that are being recommended and being adopted across the nation. No smartphone before high school, which is impossible for you you have no jurisdiction there. No social media till 16, you have no jurisdiction there. More independence and free play and responsibility for kids in the real world, you don't have jurisdiction there. But the 4th and final one is no phones in school, where we do have jurisdiction. You do have jurisdiction there. And so we're calling on this institution to help us solve this problem. And it won't be unanimously supported by the community, just like taking cigarettes out of school wasn't, or corporal punishment out of school wasn't either. But I really believe that years from now, it will seem obvious. I think it's inevitable. And I think that it's intuitive that it's just the right thing to do. So thank you for listening. And I see I'm flashing red here. Thanks.
Seeing no more public comment, I will close it for the evening. Agenda item 9.0 is new business. 9.1 is the presentation by the DEI committee. So I know we have 2 representatives. I'm having a little bit of heartburn. Scott, yes?
Yes, yes, you got it.
And Kaylee. Oh, 2 for 2. Welcome and thank you for joining us this evening.
Great. So my name's Scott Harris. I'm one of the co-chairs of the DEI committee for the faculty. I'm a high school counselor at the high school.
My name's Kaylee Q, and I'm the student co-committee chair, and I'm going to be senior this coming fall.
And our other community co-chair, Nicole, wasn't able to be here due to family concerns, but she's with us in spirit and says, go forward and deliver this to you folks. So we wanted to share per the charge, just to go over what we've been doing this past year and kind of look into the future to see what we hope to keep doing in the Scarborough Public Schools. And just say next and that will, perfect. All right. So as you can see here, here's our committee. Actually, this has changed again. We've had some, the students have graduated, a couple other community members have stepped off. And I know there's been also some conversation for faculty of people looking to kind of refocus their roles. And also we have a superintendent who's leaving, but we hope there's a new one that will maybe join us. Twist your arm if we have to. And next, sorry.
This is just the general purpose of our committee. I don't know if I should read it out or.
They gave us the charge, so I'm gonna say we probably don't need you to read it to you, but we repurposed this when we did our community presentation and just are putting this back for you of what we did and tweaked it a little bit. So just to keep that in there for perpetuity. And next.
Also, and you guys also did give us a charge, so I don't need to lay anything out, but we were just wanted to say that we're thankful for the new charge because we feel like we have gotten more direction on what we're doing in the committee. And I feel like it's really pushed a lot of us to reframe what we're doing action-wise in the committee.
I think when that came through in February, it was a little trepidation, but at the same time, I think we were really excited that, oh, we have a direction. We have some more clarity for our role and what we're doing, and we really took that and ran with it, I feel like. I think as chairs, I'll say we were a little bit, well, I think you were all gung-ho for it, but I don't mean to speak for Nicole, but I think Nicole and I were both like, oh gosh, can we do a community event? And Kaylee was right there. She said, nope, we can do this. And so we were able to pull that off, and I thought it was a really good for first one. And again, with this report that we're giving to, it's also part of that charge. So thank you for putting us on the agenda for tonight to be able to do that. And next.
So this is just what we've done this year. So again, with the new charge, we've sort of reformed what we're doing and the action steps that we've been taking. And then also with people, stepping down from the committee and, just having to restructure around that as well. We've also sort of restructured our committee meetings where we've had a few meetings where we've gone into deep dives about certain topics that are sort of affecting or related to our district. So we'll go over this later, but I'll just say it, which was, multi-language learners coming to the district, approaches that other districts are taking in the DEI space, and also differences between social emotional learning and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So then also, again, the updated charge and then governance structure. And then like Mr. Harris was talking about having that community event that we did in May that turned out really well, just putting that out there. And then here the report that we're giving right now.
And next.
So we'll just briefly go over this. It's just our first deep dive topic, which is Mrs. Crosby was the one who presented this, and she gave a really good presentation about this and talked about how we're having a sort of shift in the community with more multilingual learners sort of coming in, and how we can address this and what steps we should be taking, and just learning more about that as just looking at the needs that our district is going to be having, just having now with that change in our population. And here we have a link to the presentation if anybody would like to look at that. Obviously, we don't have to go over it, but that's just there for anybody who would like to know more.
The next deep dive we did was looking at equity audits in Maine. And so we had a group of committee members that were fantastic, and they did a deep dive into, I think, every school that they could find in Maine that had done their own equity audit. And we looked at that, reflected on it, and also looked at the price tag and decided, geez, we can kind of take what's going on here, maybe we don't necessarily need to do a whole equity audit ourselves for Scarborough, save 10, 20, $30,000 on this, but look to see what's going on and what are we doing as well as a district, or what could we start to look to do as a district for that. And so again, I don't think I have the direct link in here, but we'd be glad to plug that in. But also if you went and looked through our meeting notes, the links are in there too for the presentations on that. That's a much more deep dive, comprehensive view. But you can just see, here's a chart here from 5 towns, which is Camden, Rockport area, Falmouth, Kennebunk, South Portland, Washington Academy up in East Machias, Maine has one as well, and then RSU 22, which is Hamden. They've all done equity audits. I know there's a couple others in the state that have, but we weren't able to access those yet. But again, you can kind of see like what they're doing or what's being done there for those audits that are happening in the state. And the final one was Stacy Knappe, who is our SEL curriculum coordinator, and she gave this great presentation as well that's linked in the minutes and here as well, just looking at what she's working on and what the district's working on with SEL, the growth that's happening there, and how that can support equity as well as in the district as we continue to build our students' skills for what I like to call 21st century learning, and as our students are going out into the broader global community here, where they're both have that social emotional learning, but also have that equity lens as well as they approach life, career, relationships, all of that, things that students and ourselves deal with on a daily basis. Next. Can you, sorry, skip over that? I meant to delete that one and you beat me to it. Also, I want to give a shout out to Cheryl too for putting up with me. You're a pseudo member because you'll deal with me and all of my lateness. So thank you so much for all of your help that you've given us over the last year.
So here are just a few recommendations that we sort of are putting out. So what we've discussed is just, having, putting in maybe for the next year for the budget, having a district level DEI coordinator. Like some other districts like South Portland also, even though there's some stuff going on there, but they also had one. And so we were thinking about how to work that in, or the potentiality of us possibly, or even we discuss like.
Yeah, a committee member made a really interesting point, and that's why we included in there. What would an intra-district look like? Like if we're looking to save some money somewhere, or like partner in a wider community, because this work, it needs to be done on a broader scale. Can't just be insular within us. So what could that look like? And I thought that was a really interesting question that one of our committee members posed. So I figured, hey, I'm going to toss it over to the experts here who have the purse strings and see what they might think about that as well. And the other thing too is that these all came out of our deep dives and other conversations that we had. So we didn't just kind of pull these out of thin air, but these are all as we were looking at needs that the district might want to be considering over this next budget cycle. I hate to start talking about it as we just went through this, but it's going to start happening. So we'd love to just kind of put this in the front of your minds here as we start thinking about it.
Another recommendation was providing professional development opportunities for all staff. So, I'm not a teacher or a staff member, so I don't necessarily know what it's like to, sit through, I forgot what they're called, but like them, yeah, it's literally right there, sorry. But sitting there and like learning more about certain topics and issues and changes that perhaps are happening with, in the community that you learn more of, I suppose.
And to put a plug, we had Principal Kafele come in the over the summer last year, as well as did some professional development the first few days of school. I think that really set the tone really well for faculty and staff throughout the district, as I did hear that mentioned repeatedly through other professional development days, as well as just in general and other times. So that really did have an impact to it. So just thinking like, all right, great, that was an awesome thing. Like what else could we do? Or what other little things could we do that might have a ripple impact as well to that? I know that's an expensive PD to do, but I think it also was really impactful too. So just as an example, I think that was well received, and let's keep doing it if we could.
Thanks, Mr. Harris, for giving this perspective on that. And then we also had improving access to, for our district for information in a variety of languages, like we talked about with the deep dive, how there are more multilingual learners coming into the district. And a lot of the times we have, you know, the foreign language teachers having to deal with that and like take on some of that responsibility. So maybe, you know, taking some of that stress off of them. And then also we had reviewing like available data that we have in Equity Lens, like we talked about with the equity audits that we took from other schools, but looking at what data that we have and then, you know, seeing what improvements could be made there in terms of equity.
Could we use the Panorama survey? Could we use some of the other data that, because Scarborough does such a great job collecting data. So how could we start to use that towards our advantage with that lens is how we can approach and support all students in our district.
And then we also had like a creation of sharing DI concerns, celebrations, and systems. I think we did set up sort of shout out for members in our community who have been doing a lot to improve DEI and, you know, just making an impact in the community, but maybe we don't necessarily have anything right now for collecting people's concerns on issues going on in the district or just like some sort of general system that people are well aware of. And then just a continued support and development of equity teams, which we don't really have sort of right now. We're still in the works with that.
Well, we have, and again, I want to give a big shout out to the leadership equity team who came in for our community event. We had several show up for that. Thank you. And we really appreciate their help with that. They were great, as well as the Civil Rights Club came in as well. And they were awesome with that facilitation as well. Next.
And then just building sustainable committee membership. Like we mentioned before, we've had, you know, a few people had to step out during the year, which is no fault to them at all. Like everyone has their own responsibilities, but we just need to implement sort of a system for ourselves to just continually have like rolling members and people to replace members so that we're sort of in full strength every year. And then sort of for our next steps also is restructuring subcommittees because again, with sort of the new charge, we're looking into, we're sort of changing how we're doing things and the actions that we're taking. So we've sort of reshuffled what the subcommittees are doing in terms like, because for instance, like we had an equity team subcommittee, but we realized that, or in a data committee subcommittee, but we realized that maybe these sort of need to be more intertwined and focus and have different focuses on things. So that was just one thing.
And I'll just put a plug in. I don't know if Frayla will continue with this, but right now she's the membership chair. So if you're interested in being part of the DEI committee on the community level, feel free to email her and we'll get back to you in the fall. See, look at that.
And then also just growing engagement with community groups. We sort of want to put our committee out more. And then also again, going back to the charge, which I think Frayla might like, is like just the whole fostering community thing, which is really important for us. And we want to continually do work to improve that. And then
You have a great, again, to be seen here, but hopefully in the fall, there'll be a really exciting community event
it's
up and
being thought
coming.
of.
Led by this one right here, so.
I guess that goes along with hosting additional community events because just even after our community forum, which we pulled together, we just really saw how it, like the impact that it had and the renewed passion that a lot of people had for this committee. And, you know, it really got a lot of people thinking about what we could do next and just having growth of ideas. It was just nice to see that there was a community out here instead of, you know, because our committee sometimes feels like a bubble sometimes. So it's nice to see that we are doing stuff outside of just what we do in our meetings. And then we're continuing deep dive topics, which again, like just talking about it, they were really helpful for us generating new ideas and new action steps. And I don't know if Mr. Harris wants to plug in anything. But.
No, I mean, I think we're looking at, one thing I wanted to say is that the DEI committee is for all, again, know I left some, I'm sure I left some community groups out, but this is for, it's a really unique committee where you have faculty, students, community members in it. And it's for all Scarborough, folks. So like, don't feel like you have to look a certain way, be a certain way to be part of this. We are trying to elevate and support all of our students in Scarborough Public Schools so that they have the best experience and have the best resources that they can go out into the world and be successful with. And so this committee is just part of that, that helps it with it. So,
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to add on to that, especially not being afraid, like if you think that you might not have a lot to offer, or like you might not know a lot. I think that everyone's perspective and everyone's, thoughts about anything can be, really impactful because everyone's different. Everyone thinks differently about certain things. And it's important to recognize, like, again, the diversity of thought that people have. And everybody offers something regardless of what you think about yourself. Like, we really appreciate any sort of perspective.
and then just to add on to other directives from the school board as you see fit. So again, with the charge, that was really helpful, but also one of my favorite lines when I get hired in places is other duties as assigned. And that's how I kind of take this role in the committee as well, as other duties as you assign, as you see fit for us to continue to do the work that supports our students here. And then last slide is if you have any questions or comments for us.
Perfect, thank you. So are there any comments, any questions? Yeah, please.
I get to talk about you every month and I'm not going to skip an opportunity today. I just wanted to say thank you for stepping up as chairs. There's a lot of responsibility put on your shoulders to organize things and put things together. And it's always hard, it's hard to chair with 3 people. And yet I think you've really pulled together in a good way and galvanized this committee so that's moving forward in a productive manner. You did pull together a community forum in about 2 months, which was successful and had good attendance and some great ideas came out of that. So I just wanted to say thank you to both of you, the rest of the committee members that show up every month and talk for an hour and a half. And have been doing that for years at this point, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Awesome, thank you for that. I just have a couple of thoughts. First, thank you for all your work. I know there's been some up and downs and changes and new directions from us. And so thank you both, and to Nicole too, when you speak to her, for all your leadership and your dedication to this group. A couple of thoughts. One is there was a period in time when the committee was looking at some of our policies with an eye toward, is there anything that could be done in our policies to really address issues that we aren't seeing or we aren't aware of. And the one that really rose to the top was holiday celebrations. And so how teachers were struggling to really understand how to implement that policy. How do we really celebrate holidays in the school system? So if you could maybe think about adding that back in, because I think along the way it got lost, and I found that really valuable work. So that would be my first thought or question. My second thought is there might be an opportunity, because again, I really appreciate you saying this committee is really for everybody, because when we drafted this committee, we were thinking about how unique Scarborough is. There's a very large special education population in our district. There is becoming more and more multilingual learners that move here, and more so probably than ever has been the case, right? We have a very broad socioeconomic issue in Scarborough, right? That's very clearly defined, haves and have-nots. And so there's a lot of competing, I would say, it feels sometimes like competing interests, right? But this is a group where we're working to really make make schools and the environment here welcoming for everyone that enters our doors. And so I wonder if, that's a long-winded way of saying, I wonder if there's an opportunity to kind of work with the building committee a little bit as they work on what this next step looks like for the K-8 solution, right? I'm thinking of this on the fly, but is there an issue, like when we think about portable usage and the 6th grade class being separated, is what kind of equity issues, or is there any sense that that is a problem when you look at the other 2 grades that are in there? We've heard a lot about cell phone use today. That would be something I would be really interested in hearing from multiple groups, right? I think that this is not just, I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag a little. I don't think this is a one group problem. I think this is going to take multiple work across multiple groups of people. And I wonder if there's not an opportunity there for you to provide some help for us. So just trying to think a little bit, maybe it's the other duties as assigned, as you mentioned, but some other things where you can, things you can look at and things you can consider doing too, as you kind of.
Yeah, no, I
Move forward.
really, as someone who's served on a school board previously in another life, the policy work, that's great. And I think that's definitely something we could look at, especially in collaboration with, hey, we're looking at this. Do you want to take a look at it for our lens? We can send that back for the next meeting, things like that. Again, I know I've talked with other committee members of how I like to geek out on some of that governance and policy stuff. So I'll let you guess who it might be, but no, I think that would be something that we would be really interested in helping to support that work that the board is doing as well. As again, as you know, I know I'm opening up a can of worms with other duties as assigned, but I think that's what it is like, we're here to, we're serving at your behest. So please, like, if we can be helpful in giving an eye or a perspective for things or an opinion, which we're really good at, let us know, and we're glad to share that and with data and you know, research as well for that too.
Yeah, and I know Jillian's not here. One of the things that she's away for on vacation with her family, but one of the things she was interested in is really looking at even the school nutrition menu. Is there a way to make that more culturally diverse? You know, there's a lot of thoughts out there. It's just maybe coalescing a little bit might be helpful. And I don't want to speak for her, but she's got a lot of good insight into that. And so she would be another, you know, I know she's on your committee. She would be a good one too, to ask for more information. Yeah. Is there any other comments? Is there anybody wishing to make public comment on this item? All right, seeing none. We are not voting tonight on your recommendations. We don't have that on the agenda, but what we can do is we can put this on the July the July agenda, which would give the board an opportunity to kind of think through and kind of gather their thoughts around your recommendations and then vote on it accordingly. So there's only one meeting in July. It is July 17th. Is that right? July 17th, 18th? July 18th.
And if you need any additional information for that would help with decision making, please feel free to reach out to the three of us, Nicole Doloff, or myself, or Kaylee, and we'd be glad to get or try to get whatever we could to you by then.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
this
you for giving us
evening.
this time. We really appreciate it and look forward to working with you next year.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Agenda item 9.2 is the School Building Advisory Committee's recommendation. I'm going to bring Peter up here on the spot, just in case anybody has questions for Peter, as we just spent our last hour and a half talking about the survey results and then really focusing in on the recommendation of the building committee, which was to bring forward the 4 solutions, 4 potential solutions for further vetting. So first, do I have a motion to approve the school building advisory committee's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Any questions, comments?
All right, I just want to be very clear on what we're voting on. So we're voting to accept them and approve all of the recommendations that are contained in the report and the presentation that we got earlier.
Yes, so we are voting to move forward. Their recommendation is to move forward 4 potential solutions for further consideration in the phase 2.
That would be in phase 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted a point of clarification to make sure
Yes.
we knew what we were approving.
Yes. Thank you. Is there any other thoughts? We said this in the workshop. I do think it bears repeating here in the full meeting. Thank you, Peter, and thank you. There's some committee members that are still left. Thank you for all of your hard work. This was really a labor of love, to say the least. So thank you very much. As we look forward to phase 2, I think probably what I was talking about in the workshop, I probably could have saved for us, but the 4 recommendations, are the 4 potential solutions, possibilities that were there. One of the things I would specifically like us to focus on is really looking at all of the what I'll call pros and cons, for lack of a better word, for these 4 options, and really diving in and seeing what is costs that are beyond construction costs. So that would be cost to parents, cost to the community members, cost to the district, cost to staff, cost to families, cost to students. So I would like to see that, that's what I would like the vetting to look like. And what I said also in the workshop, I would like us to really narrow down to 2. And then I know I put Tom on the spot, but really I would like to understand what our options are in the way of polling the community as to what they would support, because we're not going to make a November non-binding referendum, unfortunately, with the timeline. So I'm in favor of moving forward the 4. That's just what I personally would like it to look like.
I think I'm in favor of all of that as well. And I know that during the workshop, there was some talk about waiting on putting dates in for phase 2. I think it's important to have dates in there, because without it, then we really don't have a guideline.
Right.
It's important, as Freyla had mentioned during the workshop, that we here that have been sitting here with the building and everything, we understand that there is a need, something that we needed to solve a long time ago, and we're still working on it. So I think dates are important, but I still agree that like we do have to take time to work through it to get the community all on board. There is a way to do that. I'm sure of that. But dates are important. So I just want to make sure that we see that in the next phase.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jenna. Yes, I agree that there should be dates. I feel very strongly that there should be a date. We were willing, this committee had a May 1st due date, and when it became evident that they needed some more time, they were very happy to ask for that time, and we were all very happy to give them that time. I think if we set in a June referendum date and the committee found that they needed some more time for whatever, if it didn't seem feasible, given what we've asked, then we could of course push out. But I want that, I personally would like a push out to be a last resort. I really would. I mean, June is a year away. It feels like a long time. I know when you're in the work, maybe it doesn't feel like a long time, but for right now, it feels like we could probably bring the community on. The communications committee is doing it on the building committee, communications committee is doing a really fantastic job of updating the website, pretty much at least on a weekly basis, if not multiple times a week. They have a schedule out to attend, like concerts in the park and community events, and they're trying to, really get where people are, which is, I think, really important here. Yeah, go ahead.
I think dates are pretty imperative because I think it helps to collect all our efforts, but also help with best communication for our communications committee. And as soon as we can put something like that on their radar, they can be in the, events of the music on the park and everything, saying, this is what we're really shooting for. Whether we make that or not, part of being open and honest with the public is when they can expect everything, so that no one comes to the polls finding out in May for the first time that they're voting in June. If this is a year-long open communication of timeline, ability for people to access information, take the time out of their busy lives in order to review said information. I think the longer timeline that we can allow people to expect, the better.
Thank you, Lisa.
I think I said most of what I felt already, like usual, but I agree with what everyone has said. I do think that we need some dates. I think that just human nature, we can organize ourselves in phases around specific targets. So I think that's important. I do take what Counselor McGee and Anderson said seriously, though. I think they were right. I think we need to focus on listening.
Yeah.
I think that this committee has done a wonderful job of that so far, which has resulted in these recommendations. And so I would expect and hope that that would continue into phase 2. I think getting concrete numbers and more specific data is good. I would also like to see the options. I think I said this already, but I would like to see and availability of options to the community. That is something that I heard very clearly that they wanted. I would also like to see less than 4 options move forward out of this, but I think that it's prudent to look at things from a data perspective and move forward on that basis and not based off the cuff of what feels good in my gut, because while some people can work that way, I cannot. And I don't think I can justify it to my neighbors either. That my gut said that this was the right fit when we can point to something concrete. I'm bristling a little bit on the word trust. I think it's important that the community, we communicate clearly and that we have good data. I think we need to focus a lot of efforts on communications being clear. I think there was a lot of, again, this is a critique of us as a board and the council. We've like data vomited all over the place. It was so much information and there were so many graphics and they changed every day and the parameters changed all the time that I read everything that came through my hands and at times it was dizzying. So I'd really like to see a focus on really smart communication. Like we can communicate less, but let's do so in a deliberate manner. Again, not trying to hide anything from the public. The meetings are going to be recorded, the data is available, but really focusing our efforts in communication to be clear, because I think it's human nature when you're confronted with a large amount of overwhelming information that may or may not be relevant to you to just sort of like shut down and move on, because there's a lot of other things claiming people's attention that are more fun than thinking about spending $100 million on a building project. So that would be sort of my thoughts, but I'm very comfortable with the recommendation. I think the work has been phenomenal. I'm not at your committee meetings and I'm pretty quiet because I've never done anything on a committee related to buildings, but I do read all the materials that come out. I do read the communications and the reports. I don't watch every meeting, but I watch a lot of the meetings, especially the ones where there's some substantive stuff going on. And I want to encourage community members who are curious to do that. The information's there if you want it, but please make it digestible.
Thank you. Before we vote, I forgot to ask this at the beginning. One of the things, because we changed the workshop date from Wednesday to today, council will not vote on the recommendations until their council meeting. And at that point, once they have voted, assuming they accept recommendations and assuming we accept recommendations, the next step is for a few of us and a few of the council members, along with Diane, who at the time will be our superintendent, and Tom, to sit down and really draft out what phase 2 is going to look like. So very similar to what we did at the first time, creating a document, really setting those parameters up. And I do know the committee is incredibly anxious. I've heard from a few people already. They really want, anxious to keep working. They want to keep at it. And so I think the sooner we can get an answer to them, the better we all are for it. So all that to say, if there's anybody interested in volunteering for that, I know Jillian is very interested. She did ask me to pass that along. She would like to sit in on that. Yeah, go ahead. I would be interested. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we'll, and I will sit in it as well. So there'll be the three of us and Diane, and then whomever from council. So thank you for volunteering, Alyssa. All right, is there any other discussion?
Just want to thank you all for the work you've done so far. It's a lot of work. You've probably done a lot more than I have on it, because again, I have not sat on building related committees either. It's a lot of work, and your time and commitment is not forgotten. It's a lot to solve a problem as a community. So thank you so much.
Yes. 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 It is actually time right now. I just need to make sure everyone else up here is done. Is there any other discussion? If anybody is interested in making public comment, now's the time. So same rules that we went over earlier.
So I appreciate all the time. Elizabeth Von Stadi, I live at 7 Ferry Road. And I am a representative of the communications team, and we have worked together, a lot of us, on this process. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for putting the time into this. I think this is probably the most important spending project that Scarborough has in front of it. And so the time is now to communicate to the public. I mean, as Freyla noted very eloquently, we got a divided community. We got to bring people together. So let's communicate. You got a fantastic grassroots communications team, and we will be sitting at events tables and putting the word out and updating the website. I would say the sooner you can get some professional expertise, some social media, marketing involved, getting the word out alongside us grassroots folks, the better. Because we need to invest some time in getting the people on board and understanding what the concepts are and getting some feedback. So please invest in this process because I think it is the most important thing in front of us right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Don St. Germain, I too am on the communications committee. I think in this phase, we're now just officially in a phase between phase 1 and phase 2. We're sort of between phases. I don't know how long that phase will last. I don't know when phase 2 will be defined and put into motion. But as Elizabeth said, there's a lot to be done now. And I would like to ask you to accept our help in providing you with the information you need as a group to move forward, both to plan phase 2, but also to keep some momentum going. So for example, you mentioned information to start to evaluate these 4 options, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have some wonderful information. First of all, there are PowerPoint presentations that each group did. I'm doing a summary presentation that will be a comparative analysis that I think will help focus on some of the issues that will be important to you. That's close to being finished. So I guess I'd just like to have your permission for us to keep going as we're doing, both with our educational efforts, but also to be in a position to help you. And I don't know if that's a motion or if that's just an idea.
Well, let me let you finish your comment. Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, okay, thank you. I didn't want to start talking. I actually, oh, I'm sorry. Let me say this really quick, Jim, and I'll get right to you. In the document that we were provided, actually, that was one of the things that you did ask for as well with this, if I'm correct. I'm just going back to make sure that I'm remembering it correctly. I think that I'm trying to remember, and Peter, you might have to help me. There's an ask, is my memory correct that April perhaps was going to help with the communications efforts over the summer? Am I making that up? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, here it is. It's on page 18. Yeah. Okay, so I think what we could do is we can offer an amendment. Let me listen to this comment while I'm thinking through the verbiage and we'll circle right back to you. Or circle back to that. You ready, Jim?
Jim Pritchard, Maple Ave. I think it's vitally important that the communication committee from this board, the council, and the committee communicate weekly before anything goes out into the press. It's those sudden, quick comments to the newspaper, TV news, or whatever, that gets the public confused. So I feel very strongly, after talking to about 40 people about this process, if we don't communicate correctly, we're going to lose, because there is a major trust factor. I had a person down on Sawyer Street ask me this weekend, how do I know once the committee comes up with a recommendation that the board and council will reject it and put in their own thoughts. That's why I feel very strongly communications with all three boards is vital. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Can you come up to the?
Just have to reinforce what Jim said. The coordination of all of our communications is going to be so important, just for exactly the reason he talked about, that, and we really want to work with you to do that, so enough said.
Thank you. Your amendment, okay. Is there any further discussion on the document? Yeah.
I would like to offer an amendment.
Sure.
Obviously, it would not be ratified until the town council also would authorize such an amendment. So I would offer an amendment to the original charge document that was voted on in January that authorizes the committee to do public input and outreach, which is the authority for the communications committee. I would move to authorize that committee to continue that work as indicated in the charge through this in-between phase in the absence of a phase 2 charge so that we don't lose momentum.
All right, so we have an amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of the amendment? It's unanimous. So we go back to the original motion as amended, which is to accept the recommendation of the building committee, which is the 4 solutions, along with authorizing the communications committee to continue public input and outreach through the summer until phase 2 is. Did you say that until phase? Consistent with the charging document. Thank you. Until phase 2. Oh, so we're back to the main motion as amended. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, it is unanimous. Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. All right, agenda item 9.3 are appointments. 9.3.1 is the middle school student support lead teacher.
Great. Jennifer Landez has been selected to fill the position created by a realignment. Ms. Landez received her Bachelor of Arts degree in social work and her master's degree in school counseling from the University of Southern Maine. She has received her Assistant Building Administrator certification from St. Joseph's College. Ms. Landez has worked in RSU 57 for the past 10 years as school counselor, social emotional learning coach, and also as an assistant principal. She is also a certified mentor teacher. Recommendation is to appoint Jennifer Landez as middle school student support lead teacher.
Perfect, thank you. Do a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Sorry, quick newbie question. What does realignment mean?
That means that the person who filled that position previously is now in a different role within the district. So they didn't necessarily resign from the district, but they're taking on a different role.
Okay.
Just a comment that, again, the teachers that were joining our organization have impeccable, amazing credentials.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Freyla. All right, is there anybody wishing to make public comment? All right, seeing none, I will have a motion. All in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. 9.3.2 is the Wentworth School Band Director, Music Teacher.
Tristan Bluto has been selected to fill this position created by a resignation. Mr. Bluto received his bachelor degree in music foundations from California State University in Fullerton, California, and he attended California State University in San Bernardino, where he completed the California Teaching Credential Program. Mr. Bluto has worked in California as a brass and French horn music instructor and as a long-term substitute in an elementary school's music program. After making the move to Maine, he has most recently been a substitute teacher in Saco schools. Recommendation is to appoint Tristan Bluto as Wentworth School Band Director, Music Teacher.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody wishing to make public comment? All right, seeing none. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. 9.3.3 is the Eight Corners School Special Education FLS teacher.
Great. Danielle Swayze has been selected to fill this newly created position. Ms. Swayze received her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in Technical Theater Set Design from Hofstra University and her Master's of Science degree in Special Education with a concentration in teaching students with mild to severe disabilities from the University of Southern Maine. She has worked for Spurwink Therapeutic Preschool in Saco as a paraprofessional and also as a special education teacher there and a special education teacher at the Sweetser School in Saco. She most recently was a functional life skills teacher in RSU 57. Recommendation is to appoint Danielle Swayze as the Eight Corners School Special Education Functional Life Skills Teacher.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody wishing to make public comment? Is anybody?
There's no one there.
Okay, so just look in the room. All in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous. Agenda item 9.3.4 is the Blue Point School Special Education FLS teacher.
Christy Lo Cicero Mackey has been selected to fill this newly created position. Miss Lo Cicero Mackey received her Bachelor's of Science in Special Education with a minor in psychology at the University of Maine at Farmington, and she will be finishing her Master's of Arts in Educating Deaf Children with Additional Disabilities in July of 2025 from Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C. She has worked at the Meadowbrook Montessori School as a co-teacher and at the Maine Education Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing as a lead teacher, special education teacher specialist, and itinerant teacher of the deaf. The recommendation is to appoint Christy Lo Cicero Mackey as the Blue Point Special Education Functional Life Skills Teacher.
Perfect. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Anybody wishing to make public comment? All right, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 9.3.5 is a middle school choral music teacher, part-time.
Matt LeBerge has been selected to fill this newly created part-time position. Mr. LeBerge received his Bachelor of Arts degree in music and Bachelor of Music degree in music education from the University of Southern Maine. He has been music director at South Portland High School, choir director at the Southern Maine Choral Music Academy, music teacher at Wyndham Primary School, choral director at Sanford High School, and a music substitute teacher here in Scarborough. He is presently a music director at the Four Corners Musical Theater Company and at Agunquit Playhouse. The recommendation is to appoint Matt LeBerge as the middle school choral music teacher.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody wishing to make public comment? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 10.0 is executive session. 10.1 is a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D for the purpose of discussing the transportation contract to return to public session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No public comment? All in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous. We will return. All right, thank you so much for waiting. Agenda item 11.0 is ratification of the 2024 to 2028 transportation contract. Do I have a motion to approve the contract as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 12.0 is adjournment. Before we adjourn, I just want to very quickly congratulate Alyssa and welcome her to the board. Yay. And as you, as we are now in our new term, it's time to start thinking about committee assignments. So if you can please take a look at the committees, kind of think about what you might be interested in serving on, and then send me the list of the ones that you most prefer to serve on. I can kind of get that work going. And then at the July meeting, I will be on vacation, so Freyla will step in and run the meeting, but I can give her all of the committee assignments so that work can continue. So if you can get everything to me, let me quickly just look at my calendar. If you could get everything to me, your committee assignments, your preferences by the 8th, July 8th, that would be fantastic.
How
Alright.
many committees is?
So we typically are on,
In
There
your
were, like,
first year, all of them.
yeah. Yeah, we have 6 members right now. We are running short until November, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult right now. But generally it's 3 to 4 committee assignments, and then maybe one or two liaison positions. All right, so without any agenda item 12. Is adjournment. Without any objections, we will adjourn at 9:16 p.m.